Coming in at number 5, we've got the Midianites. Okay, so before we get into any Christian, Judaic, or Gnostic demons, we should probably fire some movie demons into the spotlight. We've come so close to talking about this movie so many times, so why not today? Nightbreed is a cult classic that never really hit the big times. Released back in 1990, director Clive Barker didn't get final cut and was disappointed with how it ended up. Years later, a majority of the unused footage was discovered and Scream Factory managed to release a director's cut. Based on Barker's short story Cabal, this is quite the empathetic take on monsters living in a graveyard. At the beginning of the flick, the audience is introduced to some rapid-fire demon craziness, resulting in the impression that these grotesque monsters are evil troublemakers. It soon becomes apparent that they are far from evil, and the so-called good guy psychotherapist is the real madman. The Midianites, even if they have horrid features, are a largely peaceful race of monsters. They live on their own beneath the cemetery. Midian has its own unique culture, customs, and laws, and they have no intention on starting any trouble with humans. In fact, humans are the ones who decide they've got a problem with them before launching a full-scale assault, complete with an Albertan militia. Through some wicked mental gymnastics by Dr. Decker, played by David Cronenberg, folks are convinced that the Midianites are the last bastion of evil and must be destroyed. However, once the battle begins, it becomes very clear that all they want to do is live unimpeded. In fact, the entire movie proves how good these beings truly are. They accept Boone into their ranks and even give him a second chance after he breaks their laws. They take good care of their children and do their best to offer all their citizens comfort and supplies in order to live. It just goes to show that humans tend to demonize the other in an attempt to simplify our world when we should be embracing those differences. Maybe just letting the other live in peace is the answer after all. Don't tell the colonies. Coming in at number 4, we've got Amon. Alright, now that I've done my requisite movie talk, let's head into some more mythical demons. We'll start with Amon, Marquis of Hell that governs 40 infernal legions. He's quite the ugly sucker, which might contribute to his bad reputation. According to Johann Weir, who wrote of Amon in the Pseudo-Monarchia Daemonum, Amon or Amon is a great and mighty marquis, and cometh abroad in the likeness of a wolf, having a serpent's tail, vomiting flames of fire. When he putteth on the shape of a man, he showeth out dog's teeth, and a great head like a mighty nighthawk. He is the strongest prince of all other, and understandeth of all things past and to come. He procureth favor, and reconcileth both friends and foes, and rule 40 legions of demons. So he's got a wolf body, a serpent's tail, and a raven's head. Nice. Most folks would be afraid of a creature like this, which makes sense. Chimeras of all types tend to freak folks out. However, Amon is a nice guy. He's known for reconciling friends and foes, making the world a better place for all involved. If he were truly evil, he would encourage more discord between people instead of helping them get past it. Amon also procures love for those seeking it, and if that doesn't warm your cold heart, I don't know what would. So if you're feeling lonely, let Amon play Cupid for you. Who knows? Maybe the demon will come back with info on a hunky hunk or babely babe. Just pray it's not a succubus. Coming in at number 3, we've got Lilith. Speaking of succubi who tend to get a bad rap, let's talk about Lilith. Legends say that Lilith was Adam's first wife. She lived with him in Eden for a while, but was expelled for refusing to submit to him. After this, she became a legendary demonic figure, famous for stealing babies and seducing young men. Not the best reputation, I know, but there have been worse. Leave it to history to demonize women who didn't listen to their husbands. Still, after centuries of bad press, it seems like Lilith has turned a corner. Modern scholars seem to have found a different way to interpret this famous sensual seductress. After being created equal to Adam, she didn't enjoy being treated as a lesser being, so she left. In doing so, she opened herself up to a whole lot of slander from all who felt that she needed to be put down. This created all the legends involving her body tendencies and succubal urges. So while she's often portrayed as a baby-snatching demon with a huge personality, it's more likely that she's just someone who decided to force her independence before that was socially acceptable. No wonder so many witches and feminists look up to her. Coming in at number 2, we've got Gop. Alright, I'm gonna catch some flack from some of our more old-fashioned viewers on this one, but hear me out. Gop is a demon prince in human form who incites love. Classic. Love is good in the world. But in some readings, he provides further services which may or may not be interpreted as good by some in our modern society. He provides medical care for women, which is fantastic, but he's also known for transforming women to make it easier to get a lover and also renders them infertile. So they can find lovers more easily and will not have any accidental babies. Of course, if you plan on having kids, this is a bad thing. But kids, in this economy? So depending on your position on these topics, Gop would be really awesome or not that. But add in his powers of philosophy and liberal arts, and you've got a pretty wicked college professor. Gop is known for teaching these topics, making people invisible, stealing familiars from magicians, making men stupid, and carrying people quickly over long distances. I'd say these are all top-notch powers, especially the making men stupid part. I feel like I'd be a whole lot happier if I just didn't think so goddamn much, but maybe that's just me. To conclude, Gop, even though he looks like a pretty classic horned winged demon, isn't actually all that terrifying. And finally at number 1, we've got Bile. If you ever saw Bile, you'd freak out. He is a spider-esque creature with the heads of a cat, frog, and man all on full display. Or at least that's how he appears in the Dictionary Infernal. Either way, he's described as a combination of the 3 creatures. This kind of appearance would cause anyone to freeze up, but don't worry too much. He's also able to make folks invisible, which has plenty of utility. Of course, being invisible isn't too useful for doing good deeds, but I suppose that choice falls upon whoever invoked this odd demon. A more utilitarian power comes in the form of making people wise, and let's be honest, this is a much needed skill these days. Both of these powers are stronger in October too, so you know he's a Halloween fiend. I'm not sure if that makes him less scary or more scary, but anyone who loves October is a friend of mine.
In at 5, Zagan. Now, before we deal with the powerful demons that can bring about wealth and fortune, we should probably quench our thirst. And guess what? There's a demon for that. This dude's name is Zagan. He is both a king and a president, so be sure to bow down to him, peasants. When he shows up, he will look like a bull with eagle wings. What is more ostentatious than that? But that's beside the point. Zagan can turn wine into water, blood into wine, and water into wine. What more could you possibly want? I mean, if you wanted water, that would probably suck, but you have wine now, so suck it up. Having a party? No problem. Bring Zagan over and he can supply your shindig with bottomless booze. The dream. In at 4, Asmodius. We're getting a little raunchy with this number. Asmodius is the demon of carnal desires. That's right, this demon is lustful as f***. If you summon this demon, you'll be overcome with sexual desires, and a libido that would make any porn star envious. Yep. That's something I said. However, there is a downside to this raunchy demon. Asmodius was quite the jealous guy. Back in the day, he became obsessed with one woman, and on a wedding night he slayed her husband before they could consummate their marriage. So, be cautious when summoning this demon. Though you may be overcome with sexual urges, you may also be cursed with homicidal tendencies. But don't worry too much, Asmodius is actually very easy to defeat. The 8th husband put fish guts on hot coals. The smoke frightened Asmodius so much he fled to a completely other country. Yeah, a pretty drastic move for a demon. Not only does he seem to hate smoke, but he also hates water and birds because they both remind him of God. So, find yourself possessed and no longer want the lustful and homicidal tendencies Asmodius offers, just take a little dip in the ocean or wander through a bird sanctuary. In at 3, Payman. Now, Payman is a demon king. Yep, he's goddamn royalty. He shows up in style on the back of a camel with spirits ahead of him blowing trumpets and banging cymbals. If you summon this king, you can get some pretty cool stuff. Not only that, but he will also teach you arts and sciences, which is ideal for me considering I failed science twice, but let's not talk about that. Not only will he educate you from the back of his trusty steed, but he can, I quote, bindeth or maketh any subject unto the magician if so he desires. Meaning, you want a slave or servant, he can make that happen for you. Have an enemy, want them to feed you grapes or do your chores, or just change the channel on your TV when you're too lazy to reach for the remote. They're bound to you and will do whatever it is you command. I mean, the whole thing is morally questionable, but hey, you're the one that summoned him. In at 2, Cameo. First of all, Cameo will come to you in the form of a bird. How majestic is that? Not only that, but his sole purpose is to educate you, specifically on the understanding of all birds, lowing of bullocks, barking of dogs, and many others. Therefore, getting possessed by him gives you the ability to communicate with man's best friend. Yep. We have all been dying to know what our pooch is saying when it barks in the night or whines at nothing. Cameo can grant you that power. He can also grant you the voice of waters, which I'm not really sure what that entails. Can you communicate in water, to water, or give you the ability to sound like water? You will never know unless you find yourself possessed by this cool dude. And finally, in at number 1, Belfagore. Now, this dude is a literary icon who stars in the play by John Wilson, Belfagore, or The Marriage of the Devil, from 1690. His sacrificial offering is excrement, so summoning him is much easier than our previous numbers. His purpose is to emerge from hell to the living realm to prove that there is such a thing as a happy marriage, and that men in hell who preach that their wives sent them there are in fact weak and sinful. When wandering the earth, he resides in France, where he is the ambassador, a title gifted to him by Satan himself. himself. History tells that he is the strongest in April, so if you ever find yourself possessed by this demon, head over to Paris, the city of love, relax, find joy, and try your best to make a happy marriage. Coming in at number 5, we have Beelzebub. Beelzebub is identified in the New Testament as the devil or the prince of demons, and is highly known in demonology as one of the 7 princes of hell. Many know about the princes of hell because they each represent the 7 deadly sins, and Beelzebub is one of those, and he represents gluttony. Gluttony is described as habitual greed or excess in eating, and this demon takes pride in taking down everyone that is involved in such a sin. So if you're suffering or indulging in gluttony, Beelzebub can help you and teach you about not participating in that sin and being a better person. In the Christian Bible, he has led a successful revolt against the devil, but other accounts say he is among the 3 most prominent fallen angels next to Lucifer and Leviathan. He was a leader, which is a huge positive, and he is placed high in hell's hierarchy. Within religious circles, the accusation of demon possession has been used as both an insult and an attempt to categorize unexplained behavior, such as schizophrenia. Many speculate that Jesus actually used Beelzebub's demonic powers to actually heal people, but others have said he uses his powers as an act of extreme nature. Regardless, he has done good things and has the ability to heal people. Another significant ability of Beelzebub is that he is capable of flying, and many refer to him as being the Lord of the Flies. Many accounts of this demon have been in early history and biblical reading, but in modern times he is considered to be one of the most famously depicted demons in pop culture. So even though he may have done some evil, he is one demon that would definitely want to be possessed by. He will teach you how to lead the masses and teach others. Coming in at number 4, we have Leviathan. For Canadians, I know what you're thinking. Oh, isn't this a ride at Wonderland? Yes, but we are talking about the popular demon who is a sea serpent highly noted in theology and mythology, and he encapsulates the space of the material world, so this demon is highly recognized and highly respected by many. As long as you stay far away from the seas and oceans, then you should be safe from this demon. It is reported when he is hungry, he brings the sea to a boil, and that brings his food to the top where he feasts. It's also reported that no living creature could endure the odor of this creature. In the 1969 version of the Satanic Bible, Leviathan has represented the element of water, and is listed as one of the 4 crown princes of hell, which is a high honor, and many look to him for advice. Being such a highly noted demon can cause rumors of your true intentions. He only endangers ones who endanger him and his beliefs, so like Beelzebub, as long as you're doing the right thing and not participating in the 7 deadly sins, you should be safe. This demon is one of the 7 princes of hell, meaning that he is considered the demon of one of the 7 deadly sins, and that is envy. Leviathan is mentioned in several Hebrew Bibles and is depicted in those readings as an embodiment of chaos, and threatens to eat the damned after life in hell. So if that's what you're worried about if ever possessed by this demon, you don't have to worry. As long as you are a good person and don't commit any of the 7 deadly sins, then you are safe. Although I think that is near impossible. I commit all 7 deadly sins. That's a lie. Isn't one murder? I don't do that. There is a legend that refers to Leviathan as being created to procreate by God, so there are many speculations of this demon, and if he is truly evil, or if it's just all an act. In today's day and age, the word Leviathan has come to refer any sort of sea monster, and from the early 17th century has been referred to overwhelmingly powerful people or things, so if you ever come in contact with this demon, it would bring you more positive than negative, that's for sure. In at number 3, we have Mammon. Many can relate to this next one on this list, which is the demon known as Mammon, who is considered as the god of money in the Bible, but later is considered to be a false god. In the New Testament, it's commonly thought that this demon represents money, material wealth, or any entity that promises wealth and is associated with the greedy pursuit of gain. Unfortunately, today many people are overly concerned with these things, and the world revolves around money and material wealth, but if you get possessed by this demon, he can bring you all that and basically set you up for success, because you know everyone loves money, and Mammon can bring you that, and so much more. Mammon is joined by the previous 2 demons on this list as one of the 7 princes of hell, and represents one of the deadly sins, which is greed. Christians began to use the name of Mammon as a pejorative, a term that was used to describe gluttony and unjust worldly gain in biblical literature. It is believed by many that Mammon was based off of the Greek god Plutus, and the Roman Displater, because Plutus in the Divine Comedy as a wolf-like demon of wealth, wolves which are associated with greed in the Middle Ages. Thomas Aquinas describes the sin of avarice Agaris as Mammon, being carried up from hell by a wolf, coming to inflame the human heart with greed. In the past, greed and materialism were much more looked down upon, but today it's seen as a normal thing, and back in the day many referred to Mammon as a representation of excessive materialism, or greed as a negative influence. Many today are greedy for money and accumulating many different items, whether it's clothes, jewelry, cars, houses, etc., and that is seen today as a status symbol and even praised for it. So if you're greedy like many of us, you may come in contact with the demon Mammon. Coming in at number 2 we have Miriam. Miriam is highly known as the Red Death. This demon is known for being the spirit of pestilence and is a prince of hell, believed to be one of the beautiful angels who angered God by bathing in blood of the opposing enemies of his lord, due to the fact that the blood is the life currency of all things. The story goes that instead of God ending Miriam's existence completely, he was instead cursed by being rendered into a hideous being before plummeting down to hell, so this demon is a fallen angel. And this process drove Miriam insane and became imprisoned deep inside the confines of the inferno of hell. After experiencing this life-changing incident, it didn't let it consume this demon. He soon after became a prince of hell and ruled over the circle of violence. Merriman is known for having a hunger for the taking of lives, and in the process encourages to commit violence upon oneself and upon others. Many people he comes in contact and possesses are criminals and those who get enjoyment from causing others pain, so that he can give them a taste of their own medicine. As long as you're not a part of these groups, you are safe from this demon, but if you cause others pain, you will probably get possessed by Miriam. And if you're one of the lucky ones to get this opportunity, he will take the power and strength from you to gain more power to make up for the loss of much of his power centuries ago. But when you follow and worship him, you too will gain strength and power in yourself. So this demon is definitely one you would want to get possessed by to get the chance to learn and gain more powers from him and be able to learn many of the powers he possesses. But don't commit violent acts, is my point, because this is baffling. And finally, in at number 1 we have Lucifer. He is yet another prince of hell who represents one of the 7 deadly sins, pride, and is one of the most well-known princes, who is Lucifer. This demon has many different powers and abilities such as immortality, superhuman durability, strength, reflexes, agility, shapeshifting, spirit communication, and of course possession. His story starts by him being banished to hell by God for rebelling against him and trying to overthrow him, but this made Lucifer a true leader, becoming very high up in the ranks in hell. In the Satanic Bible, Lucifer became widely known as the Lord of the Air, and is called the bringer of light, the morning star, and is known to bring intellectualism and enlightenment to anyone who comes in contact with him. Not only is he a prince in the underworld, many people worship him in the physical world, and they believe in what they call Luciferianism, which is a belief structure that venerates the fundamental traits that are attributed to Lucifer. These teachings were inspired by Gnosticism, and it refers to Lucifer not as the devil but as a savior, a guardian, and an instructing spirit. Many worship him more than God himself, and if you get possessed by any demon, the best one would be Lucifer. Lucifer is one of the most powerful demons of all time, and if you are lucky enough, you would love to get possessed by him, and it truly would be an honor. He can possess all of his powers onto you, and also give you many of his unearthly abilities for yourself. Coming in at number 5 we have Renault. Renault is a demon that you could learn a lot from, and he goes by the name of Renault. This demon is a Marquis and Great Earl of Hell, who commands 20 legions of demons, so he's a great leader. There isn't too much known about Renault's appearance, only that he is depicted as a monster holding a staff, but let's not judge a book by its cover. When possessed, he instructs you about the art of rhetoric, which is the effective and persuasiveness of speaking and writing in order to captivate your audience, as well as other compositional techniques. It's basically being able to go up in front of the class and make a compelling argument, or the ability to tell a story and bring the audience in. In that case, we don't need school, we just all need to be possessed by Renault. As well as teaching you all these great things, he also insists you to insinuate yourself into other people's good graces, which is definitely a great thing to do. As long as you're not old and frail, you shouldn't be afraid of this demon. But he does have a little bit of a dark side. He's known as the taker of old souls, and when Renault is done exploring our world and wants to return to his, he is going to inhabit an older, sickly person on the verge of passing away and take them with him. But hey, we can't blame him, we all have a little bit of a dark side. Let's focus on the positive though. Along with teaching so many great things to those he possesses, he also teaches art, languages, and is a giver to his loyal servants. Coming in at number 4 we have Agaris. Agaris is considered to be a great Duke of Hell and was summoned by King Solomon. Not only is he powerful, but he is pretty knowledgeable as well. Agaris can be a man or a woman. If he is a man, he looks old and riding a crocodile, and other accounts say that he can be seen carrying a hawk on his fist, and when he is a woman, she's young and beautiful. Along with many other demons, Agaris is a teacher, and I promise you will learn more being possessed by him than any other demon. Humans tend to let Agaris in to visit or be fully possessed because he is very convincing and he feeds off of the knowledge and power he can get from you. So you know you're intelligent and powerful when Agaris comes your way. Kind of an ego boost if you ask me, and I am here for it. Also, if you have an enemy, Agaris has the ability to start earthquakes and also grants noble titles, so you could end up being a prince or princess after your encounter. Another really cool thing Agaris does to those who are possessed by them is that he will teach you every language in the world, especially curse words, which is super fun. If you get lucky enough to be possessed by the demon Agaris, you will have enough knowledge for a lifetime. Coming in at number 3 we have Asmodius. This demon, Asmodius, is the demon of carnal desire, or as we like to call it, lust, and is to be considered the prince of all demons. If you're a man, you should be safe because he likes to fixate on one woman, often one that was married and strikes before the consummation begins after the wedding night. The story goes that this happens to one woman 7 times, and on her 8th husband, because you know Asmodius can be very jealous and wants that woman all to himself, so he becomes rageful and takes out the competition. So anyways, on the 8th husband, to defend himself, he had put some fish guts on hot coals and the fire alarm started. It scared Asmodius so greatly that he fled and went to a whole different country. So this is ideal for his victims because he is so easy to defeat. He is pretty much a scaredy cat. Asmodius also hates birds and water because apparently they remind him of God. Regardless if you're being possessed and you're like, nah, I'm over it, then chase some birds, maybe on a beach. I know seagulls love hanging out there. Do some fishing or go for a dip in the ocean or your local pool and poof, your demon is gone. Asmodius is pretty popular in mainstream media as well, appearing on the hit show Lucifer, being the Prince of Hell, and is also the main antagonist in the horror film series Paranormal Activity. Asmodius is also featured in many books, most popularly the Tales of Tartarus, and the whole book is based on the demon himself, Lucky. And he also comes up a lot in the very popular game Dungeons and Dragons. So if you're going to summon a demon just for fun of it, I would definitely lean towards Asmodius, or if you're too scared, just go check him out and all the hits he is featured in. Coming in at number 2 we have Belfagore. Belfagore is a very famous literary figure. In fact, he stars in the 1960 play The Marriage of the Devil, written by John Wilson. And fun fact, his sacrificial offering is excrement, so it's very easy to summon him, whether you want to or not. Some fun facts about Belfagore are that a 1970s Polish utility airplane named their plane after him because of the strange look of it and the noise the engine made. He also appears in the final season of the hit TV show Supernatural, as well as being a reoccurring character in the popular video game series Megami Tensei, and there is even a death metal band from Austria that is named after the demon. Belfagore is tempted by laziness and is the chief demon of one of the deadly sins known as sloth. It is also said that he taunts men in hell by telling them the only true reason they're there is because their wives have sent them there. Belfagore goes above and beyond to prove that there is such a thing as a happy marriage and that men are just weak and sinful and continue to wander Earth looking to find a happy marriage. Satan actually named Belfagore the ambassador of France, and he is the strongest in April, so maybe if you're going to book a trip to France, make sure you book it for the month of April, and if you're lucky enough to get possessed by Belfagore, definitely make a Reddit thread or put it somewhere on the internet so I can read it. And finally, in at number 1 we have Paimon. Paimon is one of the kings of Djinistan, and he is more obedient to Lucifer than any other king. Not only that, but he is so powerful that he has over 200 legions of demons under his rule. When it comes to what Paimon looks like, he is depicted as a man with the face of a woman, wearing a crown with many precious stones on it and riding a dromedary camel. Like other demons on this list, Paimon is a teacher, and he can teach you all about the arts, philosophy, and sciences, but the best of all, if you get possessed by this demon, he has the ability to tell you all secrets. He can reveal to you all the mysteries of the earth. Any questions you have, Paimon has the ability to answer them, along with the questions about the mind and wind and water. I know there are so many questions we all have about why we are here, what our purposes are, there aliens, and so much more. So anything you are curious about, just ask Paimon. This demon is the most powerful, and some of his other powers. I know what you're thinking, how can he have more abilities than I've already talked about? Well, there are more, and they include the knowledge of past and future events, clearing up doubts, making spirits appear, creating visions, acquiring and dismissing servant spirits, reanimating the dead for several years, and has the ability to fly. So if you want to get possessed by him, I don't even know why at this point, you'll become more knowledgeable and be taught more by this demon than anyone could possibly teach you on this earth. If you get lucky enough to be possessed by this demon, leave a comment down below.